Welcome to InnerTV. I'm your host, Althea Provost, and my guest is Jacquelin Smith, a fellow star sister. In this interview, we will explore her star origins, hybridization, star languages, and Jacquelin's off-world experiences. Let me introduce you. Jacquelin Smith is a certified hypnotherapist, gifted psychic, healer, and metaphysical teacher, sharing insight and knowledge as an experiencer, hybrid, and animal communicator. Since early childhood, Jacquelin has had numerous experiences as well as telepathic communications with star beings, light beings, angels, and interdimensional beings. Jacquelin is able to consciously travel to other star systems, universes, and remembers what she is shown. Near-death experience as well as many direct experiences in the light, Jacquelin Smith is able to convey these unique experiences. Jacquelin spent many nights on starships throughout her childhood learning skills including telepathy, clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsentience. While she has been a star being in other star systems, her star family in this current life are tall white Zeta hybrids. The tall white Zeta hybrids injected a DNA cocktail mix which included their DNA as well as 7 other races. This genetically enhanced Jacquelin before she was born. This makes her a hybrid, and she carries star being frequencies and DNA. In 2015, Jacquelin Smith was featured in Meet the Hybrids, The Lives and Missions of ET Ambassadors on Earth, written by Miguel Madonca and Barbara Lamb. Some of her ET experiences include silver disc sightings at the age of 14 years old to birthing 40 hybrid children as an adult. She has met and communicated with over 80 different star being cultures, speaks various light languages, and is able to convey symbols and messages the star beings provide to her. She offers star origin readings for people as well as light language and symbol activations which assist others in expanding their consciousness. Author of 2 books, Animal Communication and Star Origins and Wisdom of Animals, welcome Jacquelin to InnerTV.
Hi, Althea. Thank you so much for having me as a guest. I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm excited. Let's talk light languages, symbols, and hand signing. Are you ready to splice and dice?
Absolutely.
Now you, Jacquelin, you were one of the first animal communicators in the country, and you've also been genetically enhanced with the DNA cocktail mix by the tall white Zeta hybrids, as well as 7 other races. So I'm thinking you're the Tesla and I'm the Prius. What was your first star language and how did you receive it?
Well, actually, when I was on the ship as a child, my star parents, their names are Zazu, Amitha, they were speaking light language to me telepathically. At a very early age, even at 3 and 4, I was speaking light language. And with the symbols on the ship, I would put my fingers in the symbol to trace the symbols that were on the walls of the ship. Of course, on the ship, there really are no walls. It's all holographic. And so when I would put my fingers in the symbols would dance multidimensionally. And so they would talk to me and speak to me. And with that, I learned how to interact with the symbols because the symbols are living. They are multidimensional, and they do dance. The symbols I draw come off the paper. People tell me, do all kinds of things, everything from healing to balancing to creating better health, all kinds of things, clearings, and just helping people align with who they are. So I was speaking light language at a very early age, and at 18, I started speaking light language. I was already speaking light language, but it kind of went underground. And at 18, I started speaking light language, and it just started pouring out, actually, with my first experience, and I couldn't stop speaking for over an hour.
That's amazing. So what you had in your early years on ship, you were automatically in that, what I call telethought. It's just a name I've given it for myself. I don't know why I call it, but you were in that presence of receiving it through your beingness, that everything was alive, that hyperdimensional experience, but it wasn't until you were 18 that it verbally was coming through here on Earth.
Correct. Yeah, that's my memory. Yeah, definitely. But I was speaking it on the ship, because on the ship I was there sometimes astrally, but I was there physically as well. So I was speaking it then.
When I receive information, it's like, for our listeners, it helps them to understand the evolution of growing into one's ability. And I know for myself, I don't receive a telethought, which that's what I call it, or an imprint, you could say, like a sine wave. A sine wave's like an ocean wave that oscillates up and down. And rather than data coming into me in an energetic wave-like manner, data arrives in a pulse. It's like my third eye will receive a pulse, and it's a sensory experience. Can you relate to that?
Oh, definitely. Yes, it's feeling. It is like a wave of energy that just comes and moves through.
And what I found is that these experiences include all the senses. So there's hearing, feeling, seeing, knowing, all at one time. It's pulsed right into my being, and I'm in that, what you call a living image. That describes some of what you're experiencing on the ship?
Yes, definitely.
We call those clairs, clairs, hearing, seeing, clairvoyant, so that ability to be able to have that multidimensional experience while on Earth. And for me, like I call myself the Prius, but back in 2005, I had a client who was a skeptic, and she asked me about her bird. I'm not an animal communicator, but I tuned in, and a scene pulsed into my third eye, and I saw a bird surrounded by smoke and coughing. When I relayed that message to my client, she admitted that she was a closet smoker, and she basically would shut the windows and smoke her cigarettes with the bird inside its cage. So, that's how I was receiving the images, and it hasn't quite upgraded to the Tesla level that you're at, which I would really like. So if someone is wanting to enjoy this next evolutionary round of star languages, what's your recommendation for them? How can they receive that?
Well, I do light language activations in terms of helping people to, it does raise and shift their DNA and aligns them with who they truly are, so that they can be aligned with their truth and speak their truth. When I give a light language reading, I often include singing bowls, and also I have a keyboard, a synth, using synthesizer, and the beings come through me and actually play the harmonic frequencies that allow people to align, really come into complete alignment within that session, and in balance and harmony, or whatever they are seeking to release old patterns and to really understand who they truly are. So the light language for me it's very important, because it bypasses the mind ego, and the higher self and the soul knows exactly what to do with those frequencies, how to integrate them along with the multidimensional selves.
You're exactly right, because you're applying multidimensional reality to the human on this planet, and that multidimensional reality for me, where I've grown to it, is it's a symbolic language. I see it through geometry and color and sound. That's what it arrives with me today. But what you're doing is you are bringing all those things, the sound, the harmonies, the frequencies, to recalibrate the DNA, to activate that natural state ability, because the truth is we all have it.
Absolutely, and many people are asking me, to work with them to teach them light language. And for me, it's just I am beginning to do that now, to work with people to open in a way that they can allow light language to flow through them. And I think that it's very important during this time because, again, it bypasses the mind ego. The beautiful thing about light language is I can work with anyone around the world and do a light language activation, and there's no language issue, you know. I don't need an interpreter like I do during a consult. When doing consult, I need someone to translate into their language. Light language, they just listen, enjoy it. I've gotten super good feedback, and it's a very direct, simple way of helping people to really align and also to open to speaking light language themselves. I've worked with a number of people doing a light language session who afterwards they have all kinds of shifts and healings, and they start speaking light language, and all kinds of amazing, wonderful things happen. So I really enjoy being a part of that, and it's great fun for me to use the keyboard and the singing bowls. I have five different singing bowls that I use. I just go with the flow of what will work for them.
I have a lot of clients that do speak light language, and oftentimes when you're learning a new skill or just coming into your own skin, you know, who you are on a multidimensional layer, there can be a sense of trepidation or insecurity because, you know, you sound different, or it might sound, how can I say it, the tones might not necessarily be pleasant to the human ear. And so as I'm working with my clients, just giving them that space and that presence to be able to speak whatever is coming through with no judgment. In your evolution, you started to speak multiple languages, and in Meet the Hybrid, you mentioned that each language has a specific rhythm and flow to it. For example, the Mantis beings communicate with frequency, and the Arcturian-Zeta hybrids speak with a guttural sound. Can you give some wisdom to people who are activated but yet still, let's say, insecure about their own ability to speak light language?
Yes, I just really want to encourage them because it can take time to gain that confidence, to trust what's coming out of your mouth, because it can sound like gibberish, and the mind, you know, wants everything to make sense that comes out of the mouth. So it is playing. It's like having that inner child, allowing that inner child out to just play and give permission to express whatever comes out, whether it be a yell or a high-pitched sound or a low-pitched sound or a groan or a growl. All those are expressions, and with light language we can be expressing the soul, or it can be the different star cultures coming through with their languages. So when I have soul sounds, I know the difference between that. And then with the star beings, there is a particular rhythm and flow. And so if people can just trust, they don't need to try and understand really who's speaking. I often am told I just know who's coming through me since I have 7 star DNA races in me, all of those come through, so I'm able to identify those fairly quickly. And others I'm just able to identify. I I can't even tell you how. I just know.
You just know. I call it the capital K-N-O-W. You just know that you know, and giving yourself that self-permission is a part of the process. And I would also like to say that the journey thus far from going, let's say, from unknowing to knowing is just as valuable as moving into knowing and then moving into further curiosity, because I believe everything's a learning curve. It's not static. You don't come into this grand knowing and know everything, but you can know certain things at certain times, and that language or even the symbols that are coming with it. Many clients, just like yourself, are drawing symbols with the light language, and it comes in. There is no sense of division between the language and what they're drawing on paper. It is that hyper-dimensional, conceptual imprinting, you could call it.
Absolutely. And, just the other day, I speak light language a lot. I speak it every day. I walk around the house speaking it. And I had just drawn some new symbols, some awesome symbols that came through. And I was just standing there, and all of a sudden I started moving my body and my hands in a way that were what was on the page, what I had drawn.
Beautiful. So this hand signing, that's that third piece that's coming in. It's almost like we have our vehicle, or our soul in our skin suit, and then the sound vibrations coming through the voice. Then the symbols are coming through as well, and the hand sign is bringing the symbols into the multidimensional space, right?
Right. The hand signals and speaking the light language bring the symbols in through,
And in that way, we're anchoring that. It's almost like anchoring that vibration, that beautiful vibration, into this planetary space.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And
which is bringing that higher vibration, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's wonderful. I really have fun doing that. It's great fun, and it's always uplifting.
Have you created a CD where you are speaking the various languages and that someone can just run in their house at all times? Is that your next project, Jacquelin?
Right now, right now I have two short audios at my site where people can go for free and listen to a couple activations there for deepening with the heart and gaining balance and harmony. And then I have two for purchase. One is awakening the star consciousness, and the other is going even deeper into the heart, which is a longer activation.
Beautiful. And then for our Starseed audience, why don't you give us a little sample of a light language that might wish to come through for this particular audience?
Okay, sure. Soina koite ila koate moala koana. Soino koite kirakata ela koide hila. To ano kiyaka. Dina hola kihano koeliana ira. Di ihna ki isi kihana koita ila hina koe. Uena hoya inoya ando kia no ide koela koata. Shikwa ko ula koa. Kwa ila koata ila. Eja o maki ila koala kia. Doina koata ila. Shina yana koita ila. Ko ela koida wala koela koata. Isha ola kira. Oana koa. Doena ila koana ura. Yana hana ila kiala hiala ka. Ila koeria ka alira. Joano era koina koala. Doena koa. Doena koa. Doena koa.
So beautiful. Playful, curious. I feel the overlighting with that. Thank you.
Oh, sure. You're welcome.
What could you describe about that for our audience to not only what they just felt and observed in their own way, but what could you add to that verbally as a human to help them feel and understand that message?
What was flowing through, again, I just allow I'm not
Correct.
thinking of anything as this is flowing. I'm looking out the window or I'm looking at a tree. I'm out of the way completely. What was coming through is there was actually a mix. I'll share this, of Pleiadian and Mantis. The Mantis love to laugh a lot. And also some Sirian light language. And they were actually sending out love and blessings to everyone who was listening.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to we're going to take a turn. I know that people love the light language, the symbols, and the hand signing, and they can reach out to you for more of that. But let's talk about this hybridization process. I think all the star races, for the most part, from my feeling, this is just my feeling, are participating in a hybridization process. And because you are a hybrid, and obviously with your memory of that, how can you help people understand this type of soul evolution?
I can talk about the human perspective and the star being perspective. And in that way, I act as a bridge to help awaken others. This is what I've been told. And that being a hybrid is a step in the evolutionary process to awaken humanity. And the children coming in now have an even higher, I could say, percentage of being hybrid. I have a very high percentage of star being in me, and then I have obviously I'm in my body, but I'm mostly star being here. Those of us who have kind of come in on the first wave have opened many doors for those who are now coming in, who are coming in knowing what took me years to, we could say, uncover in my life journey. So they are continuing to step up the process and to help humanity to realize that they are cosmic citizens. But this also awakens the star beings because they're in their own evolutionary process as well. So we're all learning from each other. It's kind of like a foreign exchange program where they come in and learn from us and we are learning from them. So they're, we're all in this together. And so I just see it working beautifully. I do have a hybrid daughter in Russia. I haven't met her in person, but I have communicated with her telepathically and have seen her on the ships. So they're integrating, more hybrids onto Earth.
To raise the frequency, and I appreciate that you shared that because I do believe learning is for all sentient life. It's not a hierarchical type of evolution in a sense that, ETs know everything, and I can give that. I can give very concrete examples of that. For myself, when I was in my teen years in high school, DNA was taken from the strands of my hair for hybridization. So my hair was cut at the forehead and in a very rough kind of way. It was awful for my teen self to look in the mirror and say, oh, that's the worst haircut ever, to wake up to that type of, and today, if they do take care, it might be, I know from my girlfriend who is much younger than me in her 20s, they take it from the back of the nape of the neck. So, it's like they're learning that they're not attached to the human body like we are on Earth, that we're still having an earthly walkabout, and women do and want to feel good about who they are in their physical form. And so there's an evolution just not only with socialization, but also with the hybridization process itself.
My star family, I come from a collective consciousness named Quabar, and he says to me that we're not better. We're more evolved, but we're not better. We're all equal. Everybody's equal.
That's the message that I have felt and have been given. Well, actually, I carry that as a feeling, like an absolute knowing, and have sense a child, that this is not a hierarchical type of relationship, just one that maybe has more skills than another. And, I'm coming down for this human walk and coming back into the memory, almost like a full circle moment. But it is one in which it takes effort and acceptance to allow these new skills, these new understandings in your humanness, while you've always had it, to say it sits inside you. You sit into this truth, and in that truth, it then develops.
Right. Yes, definitely. I agree.
I do have a curiousness. Okay, so we both know when we're working, I'm almost certain it's the same for you as it is for me, that time is different when we're in the zone, you could call it, in the field, in the flow. And with the hybridization process, is the incubation process for hybrids on board ship the same as the 9-month process it is for humans here on Earth?
No, not at all. Everything is accelerated.
Right,
and
because there is no time.
There is no time. And it depends also on which star culture you're talking about, because they all do it differently.
Right.
A number of them do it differently. So I've seen where they have taken embryos and have them like in containers. It's hard to explain, but like aquariums, or where they're actually growing the babies. But it's highly accelerated. There can be a hybrid child that growing up probably 10 times as fast as we humans do on Earth. They can pretty much do what they want to. And so with my children, when I saw them, I had all different kinds of mixes, and they did take strands of my hair to create the children.
Did they take strands from your hair from your forehead? Did you get a bad haircut? I'm curious.
Fortunately,
did you wake up and went no?
Fortunately for me, they didn't. They gave me a bad haircut when I was younger, when I was really young, and they took strands of my hair as a child. Even it was like 5 years ago. They came and took strands of my hair out from my comb. And
interesting.
We've developed new technologies, hybrid children from these strands of hair, and I said, great. And they were actually in my aura for a couple of weeks, and I said, you need to take them. I'm getting too attached. You need to remove them now and take them to the ship, and they did that.
I am so thankful you shared this. Jacquelin, thank you, because one of the reasons why I wanted to have this kind of girl-to-girl conversation and to share it with others is because I do believe it helps other people awaken to this process, because we're not alone. First of all, you and I aren't
right.
That's significant in the bigger play of it all. I got that. But also, I did not give birth to a son in this lifetime, and he was always in my aura. And other readers would say, oh, did you have a son? Implying maybe I had an abortion or something. I'm like, no, I've never had. But he was always there, and I could feel him. And at a certain point in my evolution, my son is on ship, as well as my daughter. And that is very similar to what you went through, which is you could feel that the person was there, but the human part of us was like, okay, I need to focus on this lifetime.
Right. And I said, I've really contributed a lot. You have over 40 children from me. And I said,
you're like, I'm done. I'm done with the baby factory.
I'm kind of done with that. So
right.
So anyway,
and another good point on that, Jacquelin, because what you're saying and what the audience can pick up on is that Jacquelin said, I'm done. And for myself, when my hair was cut, I said, I was, of course, I think 15, 16, and I said, no more. Like, knock it off. We're complete here. And I haven't had that experience since. There is a great deal of love, I would say, and respect for the people who are here embodied, that would be us, having our experience and having the right to say where you're at in this one.
Right. Exactly. And we have the choice, to say yes or no. And it's like when that experience happened, about 5 years ago, I call it my Thanksgiving experiences, but I was on ship with all kinds of star beings in and out of dimensions for 2 weeks straight. And it was, I had days of missing time, and it took me a year to really process it all, but it was during that time that I was able to say no to about having no more hybrid children. But also, they asked me, they said, do you want to go on the mothership? I mean, they told me to go outside. There were 7 starships in the sky, and they said, we will come and pick you up. Do you want to go on the mothership? And I said, you guys know me. I would never turn that down.
I was like, of course. I'm like, of course she's going to say yes.
And I'm waving my arms saying, here I am. And so I was on the mothership for quite a while. And
now, were you bilocated or were you astral traveling?
I did both. During those 2 weeks, both, because I came back and I had all kinds of physical evidence, and my house was crazy. I mean, the electromagnetic fields. I mean, I had crystals appearing and disappearing. I would lay a crystal on the table, and it would be under my bed in 1 second.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
I had that
similar
for
experiences.
months in my house. And my friend came over, and she goes, how are you living in this? And I'm going like, I don't know. I guess I'm used to it.
I said at one point, I'm like, don't take my stuff.
Don't take my stuff. I know. So it's been, my whole life has kind of been that way, and I've had a lot of gifts through that. The star beings did give me the choice. The ones that I connect to are all very loving beings, very highly evolved beings. So.
Of course they are. I mean, we're not at a point where we're in battle. If you're in battle, you're in a completely different plane, and battle's going to show up for you, and you're going to play one part, the hero or the slayer. I mean, it's like go. It's like what would we call it? It's like a video game. You're in a video game. You're playing out some aspects of you that need to feel empowered or whatever. And at this point in time, you and I, we're in the love realm, and we're going that route. We're sticking to it. So
definitely.
Let's talk about that mothership experience. When you were on that mothership, that very beautiful mothership, were you with your tall Zeta family as well as others?
Yes. Yeah, it was amazing.
Wow.
When I went on the ship, they welcomed me, and they know my energy signature, because you have to be kind of, you have to go through these doors that are just amazing, that open up, and it's all like these doors that are sacred geometry. And so I spent time with many beings who I've known, not, who I know in this lifetime, who are, I call them my star family, star beings, who are in human form friends, but those who I've known from other lifetimes. And so again, there's no such thing as time. And it was an amazing experience. They did surgeries on me because I was asking for particular healings. And I go, while you're at it, do this and do this.
That's exactly what I say. While you're at it.
Yeah, while you're at it. So I actually watched them do the surgeries. At first they tried to set up a screen, and I started, laughing. And I go, forget it. I can see everything. Forget it. I know what's going on. And then they kind of all looked at each other and laughed and dropped out the screens. But I did healing while I was on the mothership, and I just really, it was an amazing experience. It was like this beautiful town or city, on this ship. And I think the best thing for me was meeting all my old friends and meeting new star beings of different races. So that was a really wonderful gift, and they all have different rituals. So I was learning new rituals, like one being who came up and grunted at me, and I'm going like, okay. And then I suddenly remembered what to do to grunt back and bow. So there were all these, beautiful ceremonies, rituals, beings who some people might label as ugly, but to me, I could see their hearts are beautiful beings. One looked kind of like a warthog.
Right.
Yeah. So
it is like a bar room. It is like the Star Wars bar room. I'm very comfortable with fugly, ugly, and anything different because it isn't. It's like you're not looking. I look at it as interest, like art, but I also look at that energetic signature. And I want to point out to the audience that what Jacquelin is speaking of is that her energetic signature was the key code, the path to get into these higher realms. Her very nature, what she has focused her attention on, who her beingness is, the love vibration, was that key.
Yes.
And that key is the passport. So there's not a wrong, right, better than, or worse. It's just what you're focusing on is what you're allowing into your reality.
Right. And I had amazing experiences. I have written about it. I'm trying to think of if I want to turn it into a book, and I do have photographs that go with it. But I saw an Arcturian-Zeta hybrid who I knew when I was on the starship as a child materialized right in front of me. And when I was here standing in my backyard, this was during Thanksgiving, I'm out there 2 a.m. in my bathrobe. I'm glad my neighbors were all asleep. And I'm yelling, I love you. I'm going. And
they're like, there's Jacquelin again. Don't worry. Don't even get up. There's Jacquelin. She's talking to the ETs. This Arcturian-Zeta being showed up for you. Was this like a holographic image? Was this a solid image? How did it appear?
It was kind of a mix between, I think, holographic and physical. I call it quasi-physical. He was bright blue, had bright blue skin, and he would hide behind the tree and then come out. He was really shy, and I was trying to coax him out, going, I'm not going to hurt you. I love you. And so he would go back and forth. So I could see, this is the middle of the night, of course, it had snowed. So there was that light, and I could see his blue skin. He was totally blue. And I could see how tall he was. He was hiding behind my neighbor's tree. And I wanted him to come over, right in front of me, but he didn't do that, which is fine. And so he was kind of shy. But I realized who he was, that he had been kind of like my nanny on the ship. I mean, my playmate. So that was very moving to me.
To have that reconnection here on the earth and to know that there is no division between that realm and this realm, that is a beautiful gift, obviously. A love gift, I'd like to call it.
It was amazing. It really was amazing. So
with tall white zetas, for people who don't know, because Jacquelin and I are of somewhat different species. I feel that I have 12 or probably even many more because I can see different races. I can see them in people. It just flashes in front of me. And I can't name names because there's just too many. And there isn't really a naming process. But for the sake of being here on Earth, we give names. And so the tall white zetas you mentioned have that white shimmering skin rather than gray. And so you would say maybe the zetas, there's different sizes in, height, skin coloring, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And so for myself, I always call myself a gray. I don't even use the word Zeta. I just go for the skin color just because it's tongue-in-cheek for me, because Zetas here on this planet have received so much heat so much bias that I use
Right.
gray to say, hey, I'm right here, people.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah,
in the surface.
I guess I like the term Zeta, because to me there is a difference between. There's so many different groups, and humans categorize so many groups, quote, as gray, and and sometimes that can give a very negative connotation. That's a human projection. They're just projecting their own fear, and there are positive groups, and there are groups that are at the lower end of the spectrum in terms of energy. No judgment there. So
and evolution, right? Young souls, we call them. Correct.
So for me, the Zeta just signifies a little different group than, quote, just the whole gray group. But that's what I was told to use. I mean, just as to talk about it. But yeah, the tall white Zetas are beautiful. They're shimmering white light with the huge black eyes. And then when they drop their bodies, and I did merge with them as a child, it was like heaven. Then they are these bright neon blue globes of light. So the shell is the shimmering white, and their essence was this beautiful neon blue. And merging them was just unconditional love, that was truly amazing. So these are not to be confused with the tall whites in Nevada.
Right. So, we're not talking military.
No,
I have nothing to do with military.
About the tall whites who are here on Earth. But they love unconditionally. They loved me. My star mom would hug me. She would carry me around the ship sometimes when I was really little. And so, a lot of people say they don't have emotions, and that's not the truth. They felt profound love for me. I could feel that love. I could feel sometimes when I was running around the ship, pulling on different things, that I was a handful. And
I'm sure.
Going, oh my God, this child, It's a myth that what people would call the Greys or Zetas or others don't have emotions. That's just not the truth.
I just don't even play into it. I don't even give it my energy. And the reason why is because that is a thought construct that is being built upon, played upon, and,
right.
fueled, and I just refuse to give it my energy. It's like,
right.
At a certain point, if someone has Zeta or Gray, they're going to come into their own realization about it when they're ready. And, and so for myself, there's no problem. More, hey, how are you? That's kind of where I'm at. And that's the way I am with any race that I feel unconditional love from. And so I have to tell you, I did have a outline of a being show up into my home. This is a long time ago, in crystalline white. And it would go from a orb to a 5'1.5" being, or 5'4" half being in crystalline white. It showed to both myself and my daughter. And the orb color in itself was not quite, this, you can't really break down hyperdimensional colors into the sphere, but I would say it would be like not a neon green, neon lime green with a hyper sheen, a metallic sheen kind of, and a violet purple, but these kind of colors you could see through. I mean, we're splicing and dicing, and the orbs itself had a matrice that was geometric in form, and so, very, very difficult to describe. So casually. So here it was, and it was like these two colors. I had a green and a violet, and then it would go straight into this perfected human. And my daughter said to me, she was just a child at the time, she goes, Mom, have you seen those beings in our house? And she said, all I can think of is they're telling us to stretch. And I loved that. It was almost like this moment to say, it's time to grow. It's time to become who you are and to step into this star seed that you are and to discover your unique energy, imprint, signature, color, and sound. And so with that, everybody, I invite you to check out Jacquelin's work. And before we close, I'm going to invite Jacqueline into the hot seat with the 2-question fill-in-the-blank type of answers. Are you ready, Jacqueline?
I am.
Many starseeds are learning to heal themselves, to connect to their higher self. Do you have any wisdom that you would like to share about that process with them?
Yes, many people are learning through connecting with the higher self as well as our multidimensional selves, with star being multidimensional selves, to call them in because they are us, right? So,
correct.
And we are them. So to call them in to help with healing as well, that's what I've been doing. Like I call the Mantis part of me in. And so the Mantis part of me knows how to do a certain kind of healing, and then they also, a group of Mantis will also come to work with me. You know, we are all one, and we do have that ability to call on really the divine love within us. I think loving ourselves is the most important thing we can do, because through loving ourselves, that brings healing, and accepting all of who we are, the light, the shadow, that we really become authentic and really heal in those respects. You know, everyone's going to have their own way and own experience, but for me, I like calling in my multidimensional selves from other realms. I have a part that's angelic, so I call that part in. So that's kind of been my experience.
That's what I do as well. You mentioned that there's no path, that the only path is love. For those who feel an absence of love, would you share in light language a remembrance of that love?
I'd love to. Shokani ana ila, lauiana halayale hona, yoana kuila ha, doesh. Loena koela ki ila koana, de helo koana ina, de koa, doena koala hila koana, siki anakala koana hila koala, shilnaka la koana hila, shukila koana ila koa, ina koata ea. Muka oleata hira, de hila koana, sikira, do era, do emako ana kohira, shokiana koa, do kire kiana koa, boa, shino, dure do kono, soeno koana kodeo, shiki ana ole kona.
And with that, Starseeds, if you would like to know more about Jacquelin Smith and her work, including her star origin readings, visit the link down below. And I'd like to thank Jacquelin for being my guest today, my sis. Thank you, Jacquelin.
Thank you so much, Althea.
What a blast.
Yeah, so much fun.
Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more InnerTV interviews. Thank you, Jacquelin, and until next time, peace, everyone.